Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 304. This week we have Stacey Abrams is broke. Biden is winning with women. Canning Camilla. Revenge of the Speaker. The IRS leaker pleads out. Brain chips. Expanding cash bail. Prosecuting prosecutors. And ding-ding machines. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my partner in this endeavor, Representative Emeritus Ken Pellin.
Dave, I was having a great week until I stabbed myself in the hand. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook.
You gave yourself your own stigmata.
Was trying to separate two frozen biscuits for some reason. Not that my fat self needs a biscuit, but ended up stabbing myself. Had to get 2 stitches, a tetanus shot, and I have lost feeling in my pinky finger. So it's been a great week. Besides that, everything's been good.
Stigmata Ken.
Jeez. I mean, I started as soon as I stuck it in my hand, I knew it was bad. I started, saying things I shouldn't have said. Yeah, and it was bleeding profusely.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I say things I shouldn't say without stabbing myself.
I know. My daughter was like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just stabbed myself." I thought I'd stab myself all the way through my hand. It was that bad.
No, I didn't see it. I was I was off of social media for a good portion of it. I was in Asheville.
Very nice.
For a job. I mean, it was work. But Asheville is beautiful. There's just no easy way to get there.
No, it is a nice town. So I guess General Lee this week predicted an early spring. How was Nashville looking? Is it starting to, I know it's not starting to get warmer, but what a gorgeous place. And in springtime, it is perfect up that way.
Oh, it was cold.
Okay. What is it, about 10 degrees cooler up in Nashville?
Something like that. But the night that we actually did the job was Wednesday. I went up there Tuesday. Had a really good dinner with customers. Is a good friend of mine. We went out to Ruth Chris and had a good meal. But that Wednesday, buddy, it was wicked cold. I mean, the wind.
I didn't realize Asheville was big enough to have a Ruth Chris either.
You got the Biltmore right there. A lot of rich liberals up there.
Yes. Did you get the butter? Did you get the filet with the hot butter on it?
No, I got the bone-in strip and mushrooms.
That's a good call. Very nice.
And we had to sit in the bar because I had nothing decent to wear. I mean, I was there for work.
That's the best spot to me at any place now is the bar. I mean, that's all we do is sit at a bar anywhere we go.
Well, the bartender wasn't hard on the eyes either, and she was very attentive and kept my martini glass full. I
know. That's what's awesome about the bars. The bartender is usually very attentive. You don't feel rushed at the bar. You can sit there, and if they got TV, you can watch TV or eat. I mean, to me, it's the most enjoyable spot you can be at restaurants.
Well, there were no games on because we're about to be in the sad time between football ending and baseball starting. Is the sad time because I'm not a big basketball guy.
I'm not either, but I guess we get to see Taylor Swift one more time at the football game,
Look,
right?
I like Chelsea, Kelsey, but good Lord have mercy, he is on every ad. Every one of them.
I saw him on an ad today he's already the Pfizer guy, right? Promoting the vaccine.
Right.
But I saw him on an ad today about like tax relief and not being able to pay your taxes and some tax relief service. He is all over the place. I mean, he really is.
Look, I don't blame him.
Look, it's capitalism, right? I mean, if I was popular like that, I'd try to put my mugshot everywhere.
You know, the thing is in that couple, she makes more money, but I think he's better looking than she is. I'm not a Swiftie. She's not really my cup of tea.
I've been sort of shocked at the hatred coming from the right this week on Taylor Swift. Look, I watched the last game. I keep up with it. They do show her a lot. They show her after every time he catches a pass or a touchdown, they pan to Taylor Swift. There's this big, huge conspiracy, right? So this week, the Republican pundits on, these guys that have their own podcast.
Like us?
To me, they like us, but it's a conspiracy to them now where they think the NFL is showing her all the time. So when she comes out and endorses Biden this summer, then more young people will get out and vote for Biden. I don't think it's that. I think it's two people that are, how the first 3 or 4 months of dating is. I mean, I think that's what it is, and it's drawn people into the NFL games that are watching NFL games because of her. I mean, everybody's taking advantage of it.
Look, first of all, the first few months of a relationship like that is like the 8 seconds on the back of a bull. I mean, it goes by fast, and it is exciting. It's not till you've been married for a few years, like, you kind of suck.
Yeah, I just don't see all that. There's been a lot of like negative stuff. I don't think Republicans ought to come out against her, because that's just not a good look, and it's just going to alienate more voters when you don't need to be alienating voters.
Well,
at this
my
point.
conspiracy on it is, and this is true, the NFL is purposely putting her on TV because it brought in like 40 million people to watch a game that they normally wouldn't watch, and they're getting 100%, they're getting eyeballs. Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, the NFL is a profit making organization, and that's what they're there to do.
Exactly.
So if what's his brother's name? Jason Kelsey just retired.
Is it? I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
He's hilarious. He is hilarious.
Funny.
In Buffalo, take his shirt off and start running through the crowd and slapping hands.
He's the big burly guy, right? Yeah. He's us, right? He's most American men. He's overweight, big belly,
and then his wife's look on her face was like, I've seen that look. I've seen the look of disappointment in my own wife's eyes. I have seen this.
Yeah, so I don't know. Taylor Swift hating needs to come to an end. It's not doing anything. I don't like it.
I don't like her or hate her. I don't know.
She's not. She's
very, very talented. She's just not really my brand of music.
Look, if my daughter wanted to go to a Taylor Swift concert, I'd probably take her.
I might take her and drop her off.
I think I would go. It'd be fun. But anyway, I don't know if you saw
the 40-something in an entire sea of 15 to 22-year-olds.
Listen, I went and saw Brooks and Dunn with guys last year, and there were a bunch of teeny boppers at a Brooks and Dunn concert, which I was shocked. So I don't think you ever nowadays know what you're going to get at a concert.
No, I mean, I saw kids at a Rush concert, which was awesome. When I say kids, I'm talking like 18 to 25,
right?
Younger people that. And I was really shocked to see how many young people were at a Rush concert, and I thought that was great. They're getting exposed to real music, not something that's done on a computer. Now, back on NFL, how in the hell is Bill Belichick still looking for a job?
Yeah, Bill Belichick's unemployed. He's not going to have a job. So all NFL teams have a coach for next year. All the vacancies have been filled. Even the Atlanta Falcons vacancy, he was rumored to be coming to the Falcons. Look, I think he's out of football for now. And I think part of it is he wants too much power with these NFL teams. Like, he was asking to be the general manager of the Falcons and the coach. I don't think that's how the game is run anymore. So I think Bill Belichick may be retired at this point.
I wouldn't mind him being a GM. I think at 72 years old, I think that he's 71
but GM and coach is a whole different ballgame.
It is. It's just not done anymore. I think.
Yep, it's not.
Jerry Jones had a puppet for a GM for a long time because he ran it as the owner. I just don't think you see that anymore. head coaches have input, but as far as positions go, as far as draft goes, that's what the GM does for a living, and render unto Caesar that which is his. I
know it's the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt. Do you remember where he was the GM and he butted heads with his coach? But I mean, his Brad Pitt in that movie Moneyball, he was Andy Bean, where he went out and drafted the players, and the coach played the players, and the coach always wanted to tell him who to draft and who to pick up. But it's just not how it is.
No, anymore. It's not. And look, a baseball manager is a lot different from a head football coach.
Yeah.
In fact, their salaries are so disparate that football coaches make so much more than baseball coaches because there's so much more you can do with your roster. In baseball, you have, 22 players? I mean, you're going to trot out the same 8 guys plus a pitcher every night.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, you just don't have the flexibility that you have with football. We can put guys in, take them out, and a third down player or whatever.
Yep.
So Stacey Abrams' grift is up.
Yeah, that was interesting, isn't it? I mean, this is her organization. What is it? Fair Fight. I don't know if y'all remember, but that organization was founded back in 2018 after. Did she really lose the governor's race or not? According to her, she didn't. But anyway, she founded Fair Fight back in 2018 after she lost to Governor Kemp. And this organization now, after collecting over $100 million in its first 3 years, is bankrupt.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's upside down. They're going to lay off staffers.
Yes. Yes, they've got 20 employees. They're going to lay off about 3/4 of its staff. Will soon be out of work. So they're going to be down to about 5 people. It looks like, and what really made me happy is a while back is Fair Fight sued the organization, the Republican-backed organization that was trying to help determine if people were registered to vote in the right districts a couple of years ago, and that was led by, I don't know if you know, Mark Davis and Derek Somerville were part of that group, and they sued that group and lost a couple of months ago. I think we reported on that, but thank goodness they lost that election or lost that lawsuit.
It cost them about $25 million.
Yes, they paid over $25 million in legal fees. Now, I'm sure can you imagine the lawyers? I mean, they're the ones that got away.
Well, lawyers win every lawsuit.
Some serious cash, right?
Yeah,
they spent $25 million.
Even in divorce, the only winner is the lawyers.
But can you imagine how much Stacey Abrams, and I put the title here, Stacey Abrams' grift is up. I mean, it really was. This was a nonprofit she founded. She raised $100 million into it. She traveled all over the world talking about her defeat and how she was the governor of Georgia and blah, blah, blah. And now the money's dried up.
Well, yeah, and she got her sizable ass handed to her in the second go round. Kemp smacked her down by 9 points or something like that.
Yeah, beat her more in 2022 than he did in 2018. So
I mean, and trust me, Kemp was fighting above his weight class.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about hopefully Stacey Abrams. I think Democrats in Georgia are ready for Stacey Abrams to take a back seat because there are more. I hate to call them rising stars in the Democrat Party, but there are. But there are some people on the sidelines. But there are some people on the sidelines.
Sarah Riggs Amico could do it because she is.
Hey, even a Jason Carter has still got a big name in Georgia politics, and Jason Carter is more of a. I'm not sure he can win an election because he's a moderate Democrat at this point. He's not a hard left type Democrat that it takes to win primaries, and that's what they're going to struggle with is a hard left Democrat like Stacey Abrams cannot win a general. It's
the same problem we have with Trump. Is I wouldn't call Trump right wing. He's not
either. Yeah,
he's not. He's not a small government conservative. He like we said many times. He's a populist.
Yeah.
So where that's hurting him is Biden's up big with women.
Yeah, and this is a new poll that came out this week. Look, we've talked about this a lot, but the gender gap is widening as it's Trump against Biden now. So everybody knows it's President Trump against President Biden in November. And now he's up big with women, 58 to 36% support Biden. That's up 5 points over just a couple months ago. And men support Trump 53-42. So, men support Trump, women support Biden, but by a larger percentage.
Yeah, and look, he has a woman problem. And it's not necessarily anything that he did wrong. Is that we've been fed this idea that he's a misogynist and all that stuff. And look, if you talk to his ex-wives, his ex-girlfriends, to a single person, they have nothing bad to say about him.
Right.
That he was a perfect gentleman. Now, do I like everything Trump says? No. But maybe it means that men are more rational. I don't know.
Yep.
But
now what I was going to dig into this poll just a little bit more. But they also, what these polls are showing is the independents are gaining. The independents like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are actually receiving a lot more support. So And in an overall matchup, Biden's got 39%, Trump 37%, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s got 14%. That's a big number for an independent.
Polling 15% as an independent.
That's a huge number.
That speaks less to RFK Jr. than it does to how bad the other two options are. Because look, I think I said it last week or week before, I would sit down and have a beer with Bobby in a heartbeat. He seems like he's a super nice guy and would be fun to talk to. I'm not going to vote for him because he is a classic liberal, but he says reasonable things. Even the human potato, John Fetterman, said we need to secure the border.
Hey, Fetterman's done a complete 360. I don't know if you've been watching this, and not to get off on Fetterman, but there were a lot of protests outside his house a week or so ago. He goes up to his rooftop, or Palestinian protest, grabs an Israeli flag and starts waving it from the top of his house. I mean, the protesters just lost their stuff. And then even on this border debacle, Fetterman's come out and said, we got to secure the border. Like, what are we doing? We just can't keep doing this. And so he's kind of taking a middle road on a lot of this. And
I think that maybe he's healing from the stroke.
I do too. I mean, he's becoming a lot more of a, who's the other senator up in West Virginia? Manchin. Yeah, like he's kind of following the Manchin kind of moderate, middle of the road type political.
Hey, look, I don't like him. Dr. Oz was a horrible candidate, just like all the other Trump hand picks to run. I
think I like him better than Mitt Romney.
Oh yeah.
That's not saying a lot, is it? I like him better than the South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, who wants to completely carpet bomb the Middle East. He got the name Lindsey Grahamnesty because he wanted to grant amnesty to all the illegals. Yeah, and then carpet bomb everybody else. Yes, I mean, look, I like watching Fetterman. It sounded like, and this is, look, we're not making a joke out of this. It sounded like Fetterman's wife is potentially leaving him. She's upset with some of the positions he's taken, and she's going to take her stuff and leave. So that's not good. But yeah, he's completely changed. He really has.
That's amazing to me because, look, Alan Combs was married to a Republican for as long as he lived, and they checked politics at the front door. Yep. They didn't talk politics at the table.
Which I don't know how that's possible.
Well, he and Sean Hannity were the best of friends. They would get on TV and yell at each other and call each other names and then go have dinner together.
That was a good show. I used to enjoy that.
Well, yeah, I enjoy the back and forth.
Look, we were talking about this. Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, his wife leaving him over wanting to secure the border, or wife leaving him because he thinks that Palestine should be turned into a piece of glass. I don't want to pay for Israel, but they have the right to defend themselves.
Yes, I do. Yep. Yeah. So back to this whole, these polls, and this is another thing we were talking about it earlier. Like the jobs report came out last Friday, 353,000 new jobs were added. The prediction was for 185,000. The stock market is at an all-time high. There's some just inflation's going down. There are some things in the economy right now that, look, I want the economy to keep doing well, right? But Trump has got a problem with women. He's got a problem with independence. And right now he's got a problem with the economy doing really well up under Biden. So Biden's going to be able to go out and continue to talk about this economy. He can talk about the stock market. It's going to be tough if Trump doesn't focus, right?
I think
the key is focus.
Presidents get too much credit and blame for the stock market.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Now, when you destroy the oil industry or something like that, you pull out your pen and sign your name. Sign your name. We're not going to allow whatever the pipelines and all that stuff. You can destroy an industry, but ultimately, I can't credit Clinton with the boom in the '90s. It was a tech boom.
I know. It helps the person in. It helps the person.
That's
the point, right?
Yeah,
it helps the person.
It becomes very difficult to unseat him. Now, what's happening is Kennedy is pulling from both candidates, And look,
Yeah,
14,
yes.
15% is huge for a third party. Huge.
Yep.
But he's pulling from both parties. And it was rumored that, it's not rumor, it's pretty well confirmed that people from the Trump camp reached out to Kennedy about being a running mate, and Kennedy said no.
I know. I thought that was really strange.
That would be a very powerful ticket. That would be very, very powerful.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
speaking of running mates,
I was going to say, yeah, look, last time I was saying that, Trump's just got to get on message. We talk about this all the time. He's got to get out of this lawsuit stuff. He's got to get on message and to win any votes. Like what he's doing right now is not bringing anybody over to his side.
No, he's firing up his own base. He's preaching to the choir. At some point, you have to convert the
he's got to get on
non-believers.
Message.
You can't keep preaching to your choir and firing up your base, because they're going to show up anyway. They'll crawl across broken glass.
Yep.
They would walk across Legos barefoot to go vote for him. But that's his core is about 25%. And to get the other 25%, you have to get on message. His messaging is awful right now. It's calling people names, and that's not a winning message.
No, it's not.
Speaking of stupid people, Biden's trying to replace Kamala, maybe.
Wow, I think most people in political circles have heard of James O'Keefe. He was the guy that used to be with Project Veritas. James O'Keefe would do these undercover videos and sting operations, where he would go into undercover and release information. Well, last week he actually interviewed or went undercover on a date with a White House official who is actually, his name is Charlie Krager. He's a cybersecurity policy analyst in the executive office of the White House. So this guy's, way up in the White House and what's going on, with cybersecurity and all that kind of stuff. And basically this guy opened up on a first date to James O'Keefe and told him that the White House was, not happy with Kamala Harris. She polls real low. They were thinking about trying to replace her, but they didn't want to because, she fit some, gender norms. She was, a female, black female. He talked about Biden and his going down, not having the same charisma and that he had before. And he opens up for 15, 20 minutes to James O'Keefe about everything going on in the White House.
And he's a cybersecurity expert. Security.
I know. And just completely on a first date, and he's gay, so he was on first date with James O'Keefe, two guys, just opened up everything about the White House. And finally, James O'Keefe comes out in the video and says, "Hey, have you ever heard of James O'Keefe?" The guy says, "I haven't." He's like, "Well, by the way, I'm James O'Keefe and you're being interviewed." The guy has scrubbed everything. So he scrubbed his LinkedIn profile, his Twitter profile. I don't know how he still has a job because he just told all.
I have said that for straight guys, women have a way of you will say anything on a first date if you think you can get some action. So that's what this guy was doing.
Yep.
James O'Keefe honeypotted him. I mean, it's
100%.
It's amazing. Look, and I like James O'Keefe. I like Project Veritas. I like the stuff that he does, the on campus stuff, and
I do too.
He worked with Hannah. I can't remember what her last name is, but they would expose the liberalism within academia and all that stuff. I really like James O'Keefe, and he is doing old school journalism.
He is. And speaking of that, if you go out and search for this Charlie Krager on Google, not one mainstream news outlet reports about this story. So no CNN, no MSNBC, not even Fox News is covering this. Like nobody's covering a story of a White House official basically giving the dirt on the White House.
Right. We are being, as a population, we're being groomed.
Yep.
We're being fed what information that we want. And, as somebody with a background in selective information dissemination, that's exactly what it is they're only feeding us what they want us to hear. And it's people like
totally
James
right.
O'Keefe that are out there on the front lines are actually doing journalism. No, we don't have journalism anymore.
No, and look, Elon Musk shared the story, so unless Elon's giving this guy a platform, sharing it on X, yeah, but nobody's covering this except some people on Twitter.
So McCarthy's revenge.
Yeah, Speaker McCarthy is not going out.
This one's entertaining.
Yeah, he's pulling kind of a Speaker Ralston, which I don't know who learned from who, but yes. So Speaker McCarthy, he got there was a gate. They call it the Matt's Gate 8. And so 8 people voted to remove him as Speaker last year, and he has formed this little group to go after those 8 Republicans and try to find primary challengers that will run against all of the 8 people, and give cover to those people run against against these 8 that kicked him out.
Man, I think the vote to get rid of McCarthy was ill-conceived. Hey, look, I'm not a McCarthy apologist. I didn't like him to begin with, but he was a consensus pick because the margins in the House are razor thin.
Right.
So to remove him with no plan to replace him, and
there was no plan. Yeah, it was just no plan.
Was ill-conceived. But when McCarthy left, he left the House. He just walked away. He took his ball and went home.
Yeah, he left at the end of December. Yeah, he said, "I'm done. I'm not even gonna wait. I'm not even gonna serve my entire term."
Which I think is a huge breach of trust to his voters, because his voters set him up there to serve for 2 years, not for 12 months, not get your panties in a wad because they kick you out of Speaker. Is he should have stayed up there. Now look, he could do whatever he wants with his money. He can go and find primary. Look, you're exactly right. This is what Ralston would do if he perceived you were on his enemies list. He would primary your ass in a heartbeat, and Ralston had the money to do it.
Oh yeah, Speaker Ralston did this all the time in Georgia. He passed away last year, but he would go after the people he did not like. He would go. I mean, he went after me my second year. He came down to my district and found a retired funeral home owner who, everybody knows who the funeral home owners are in town. So they got very, very high name recognition. Found a funeral home owner to run against me in a primary. He did the same thing to Matt Gertler. He did the same thing to Sherrod Gilligan. I mean, he did, just name the conservative people in Georgia he went after. And he did it for years. If you opposed him in the least bit, hey, he put money and came after you.
Yeah.
It's really nasty that they do that against their own party. But
and honestly, he would rather have a Democrat.
Oh, 100%.
He'd rather have a Democrat if you're not going to toe the line. Hey, look, and
oh, they'd much rather have a Democrat.
I know we're speaking ill of the dead, but screw him. I
don't think we're speaking ill of that. I mean, it's just everybody knows Speaker Ralston did this. I mean, it was not uncommon knowledge. People knew that if you opposed him, he would come after you, and that's what Speaker McCarthy's doing. To get back to his story, he's going after these 8 people. He's already identified 3 primary challengers, it looks like, against Nancy Mace, Bob Good, and Eli Crane. Yeah, so he's going out there and rustling up the bushes to find, candidates to run against him.
Mace would be a loss because she's kind of cute.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
And that's very rare in the halls of Congress.
In Congress. You're not a Nancy Pelosi fan?
Not much.
Yeah, but it just shows.
Nancy 50 years ago probably was a pretty good looking lady. I don't.
Yeah, she probably was. But it just shows, what kind of person McCarthy is to be out of office now and still be seeking revenge. So
why wouldn't you
just power hungry guy, right? I mean, that's all it is.
He already took his ball and went home.
Yeah.
He's already screwed his constituents, and now he's trying to mess with other people. And what's going to happen is he's going to hand the majority back over to the Democrats.
Yep.
We were talking before the show that with Trump having problems in the polls, how far down the ticket does that affect? And you could very well see a majority in the House go back over to the Democrats and a Joe Biden get reelected at 37%.
Yep. Have the House and Senate.
which is crazy low. The only good thing about the Senate is you need 60 votes to close any. You don't have to filibuster more. You don't have to stand up there like Jimmy Stewart and keep saying I'm not going to yield my time.
Right.
You know, the Senate is fairly broken because it doesn't take 51 votes; it takes 60.
Yep.
So that's interesting. So we have the guy who leaked Trump's tax records. He's heading to prison, buddy.
Yeah, for 5 years. And it wasn't just President Trump, but he did leak tax records to Donald Trump and actually thousands of other wealthy Americans. He got sentenced last Monday to 5 years in prison. His name was Charles Littlejohn. He pleaded guilty back in October to charge of disclosing income tax returns without authorization. Good for, sometimes I think we think the court system is rigged against Republicans and Democrats are out, but in this case, they got this guy, and 5 years in prison is nothing to. I mean, that's quite a while. So I'm glad he got sentenced.
That's 5 years in the federal pen.
I know that's not going to be fun.
I have actually heard that it is better to go to the Fed pen than it is to state.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah, especially some of the Georgia prisons.
Yeah. 11 Alive actually ran something last week. Talking about the violence and how understaffed they are and how many guards they've lost. The federal pen system isn't. I don't get me wrong. I don't want to go to. I don't even want to go to jail for a night. But I think the Fed pen, you're safer than you are if you're in a.
Yep.
And especially like I said, Georgia. I mean, I wouldn't last 2 days at Smith State.
No, me either.
They'd
probably not 2 hours.
Yeah, they'd stab my fat butt in a heartbeat. And I'm not fleet of foot. I can't run from them.
Yep.
But I think it sends a pretty strong message that he got the max.
Mm-hmm. Good. I'm glad he did.
And look, it wasn't his place. It wasn't his place to release that information. So we got Elon Musk and brain chips. This is interesting.
It is. It was so interesting is Elon Musk, Twitter or X, he sends ships into space all the time, and then he's part of this company called Neuralink, and they just implanted basically a chip in a human brain for the first time, and the patient's doing well. They're trying to monitor the electrical activity of the brain. Quadriplegics are what they're trying to go after. So what they're trying to do is make these chips that can go into the brain, I guess, and change the function of the brain and potentially cure people of different illnesses that they've got. This is amazing to me that we're at the point now where they could potentially put chips in people's brains to cure them of certain illnesses or afflictions.
Well, the other idea that I know Elon's had, he said on Rogan, is with Neuralink you would essentially be hooked into the internet, and you wouldn't have to sit down and type something out, which is good if you've stabbed yourself in the hand. But you could just essentially you would think about, you look something up and just thinking about it, and the information would come to you.
Yep. Yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes. I don't know what it means for society, but I can't wait to see where it goes.
I don't think that I'm going to be in line to have my skull cracked open and have a chip put in.
No, I think we're fine at this point. But can you imagine the uses for this if it goes well? I mean, it may be 50 years from now, right? But with the way technology's going nowadays, we could be looking at 5 or 10 years from implanting chips in people's brains to cure any number of illnesses.
Think about being an attorney and being able to just think about something and pull a case law up.
I know.
And rulings and have the right ones where, used to, back when you and I were coming up, every attorney had the law books behind him, and they would go through individual books and look. Obviously, they have was it LexisNexis or whatever it is, it's all on the internet now, but back
Oh, I know.
then you'd pull a book down and you'd go through rulings and see how they apply to your case. And now it's a lot easier, but I can't imagine being able to go on the fly and hear something a witness says and be able to access in your own head. Access.
It's just amazing where this could go.
Their social media or whatever, and go with that. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're walking down. You're walking down the street and there's a restaurant, and you just in your mind, tell me what the reviews are on TripAdvisor for this restaurant, and you just think that instantly, right? And 4.8 pops up. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine.
I mean, there's a dark side of it too, because I mean, I think some weird stuff and all that would be somewhere cataloged that could be subpoenaed.
Yeah, they're going to have to definitely try to figure out how to regulate this that doesn't get out of control. But that's also where the Apple glasses are coming on and the VR headsets, where you're wearing this VR headset and it's recognizing. You can look at Facebook on it, and you can reach out for an and touch and drag and drop. I mean, technology is going so fast at the moment. So we'll have to keep watching this story.
It is,
see where it goes.
But we're losing humanity in that.
Oh, 100%.
Where kids don't talk on the phone. That there's
the Gen X. Yeah, that story came out this week where Gen X kids say that one of their biggest fears in life is having to call somebody on their telephone.
It's not Gen X. No. We're Gen X. You're talking about Z and millennials.
Oh, Gen Z. Yeah, Z. Yeah. I'm sorry.
We're Gen X. Anybody
Zoomers.
born before 1980.
Yeah, but the Zoomers, their biggest fear in life is having to call somebody on the phone.
Dude, I get so tired of texts that if I get more than 3 texts from you, I'm just going to call you. Because I could figure out something in a 30-second phone conversation that would take us all day of texting back and forth.
Yeah, I make my daughter call people. I mean, kids need to talk on the phone. And they're scared of controversy, I think. They're scared of calling and talking to someone and the conversation not going like they think it should go. And in text messages, it's different.
Well, yeah, because you can type out a text message, you can look at it, you can think about it, and all that stuff. If you're talking to somebody face to face, talking to somebody on the phone, you have to be quick witted. You have to be able to process the information and relay it back to somebody quickly. And that's much more my area. Like if I get more than 3 texts from somebody in a conversation, I pick up the phone and call. And I know I'm a outlier because I see so many people like that will purposely let phone go to voicemail because they don't want to actually talk to anybody, rather text.
I know, exactly.
So Governor Kemp. So he's gonna be tough on crime. We're adding bail requirements to several
cash bail.
Yep.
Yeah, cash bail
to several charges, even misdemeanor charges.
Yeah, which is totally. The title for this I was going to say is we're going against the last governor's. Governor Dill. Governor Dill had like a lot of reform in the justice system, and really Governor Kemp has been kind of totally opposite of that, him in the legislature since he came into office. But last week, state senators voted 30 to 17 to require cash bail for 30 additional crimes, including 18 that are always or often misdemeanors. So what this does from a practical standpoint is it doesn't allow judges to let people out on bail on their own recognizance. So if you commit certain crimes, then they have to cash bail you. And then what this does is a lot of times it just keeps people longer in jail while they're waiting to come up on trial.
We have people in Fulton County dying of roach bites.
We do. Right.
And because he can't afford to make bail, that particular person spent more time in the Fulton County jail than he would have been sentenced for if he just went ahead and pled guilty.
Yep. But I mean, this is coming from also there. I mean, on the other side of that, there are judges that release people. So there were 2 parts to this. There's going to be cash bail for 18 new services or 18 new misdemeanors. But it also says that this measure seeks to limit charitable bail bond funds or individuals from bailing multiple people out of jail. So if you remember last year when there were a lot of protests around the new Atlanta training facility, like 30 people would get arrested protesting, and then an external organization would come in and bail all those people out. So this measure also says that you can't do that anymore. You have to meet the legal requirements to bail people out at this point.
Is that going to stand muster with the Supreme Court?
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's interesting that a lot of these measures are going against what Governor Nathan Deal did when he had his 8 years in office.
I viewed it as a First Amendment violation. As people are using their money,
that point could be
as a voice, is saying, I'm going to bail these people out. I don't like it. I think that more training for officers is better, especially conflict resolution. And I've got a buddy that spent a lot of time in law enforcement. He was a Marine before that. And he posted something some time ago, said not every fight is a gunfight. In other words, these officers need to be trained to the first thing they grab for shouldn't be their pistol. Is they should be able to handle themselves in such a way that they can subdue somebody without putting holes in them. I don't know who would think that additional training, and especially conflict resolution, is a bad thing. But I know the whole cop city thing.
Yes, I know. But it's interesting that they're really going against these liberal judges and saying, you've got to require cash bail for these offenses. And some of them are very simple type things like shoplifting. Not that shoplifting is simple, but
or simple possession.
Yeah. And this is if you look at this legislation, this is one of the few bills that is strictly party line vote. So this bill is going to be party line in the Senate, and it's going to be party line in the House. So this is the tough on crime versus the Democrats being softer on crime. That's how this shakes out, right?
It's not bail or being released ROR is not being soft on crime. Now, look, do we want catch and release like they have in Chicago and New York? Of course not. Of course not. But there has to be something in between. And most counties elect their judges. If you have somebody who's cutting people loose like that, throw them out of office. A bunch of laymen under the Gold Dome should not be dictating to learned members of the bar on how to handle their courtrooms. And look, I'm just going to throw a number.
That's the debate. I mean, that's the debate at the Dome on this type of measure. 100% is.
And look, I'm just going to grab a number. Let's say 75 to 90% of the representatives up there are not attorneys. And I'm not saying we want attorneys doing it, but that's how we end up with our next story, with laws having to be fixed because they're being written by laymen who don't understand the law. So now we get to my representative, Joseph Gullet, is pushed forward a measure, and I support this 100%, to revise the prosecutor's oversight board. So the rules will not be set by the Georgia Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court has said, hey, leave us out of it.
Yeah, that's what happened. So they passed a bill, a couple of years ago, with this oversight commission. But the original bill said that the Georgia Supreme Court needed to approve the rules. And then the Georgia Supreme Court came back last year and said, we don't think we have the authority or the power to approve these rules. So they basically made the law unenforceable. So Representative Gullet came back through last week and he wrote House Bill 881. It passed by 95-75 margin in the House. Again, this is one of those very Republican versus Democrat bills, but it removed that portion of the bill that said that the Supreme Court had to approve the rules. So this is the Dick Donovan law. I know everybody thinks it applies to Fani Willis, and it will apply to Fani Willis because of her impropriety and all that stuff. But really, this was the Dick Donovan bill. We had a prosecutor that was completely ineffective because he was in scandal. Yep. And it happened during COVID, so nobody was happier about COVID than Dick Donovan, I guarantee you, because he was able to get his, 20 years in as a state employee and get his retirement. Yep, but this could go after Fani Willis at this point when this passes.
So sure can. Because I think you said before we started recording that she finally admitted, we were sleeping together. Well,
Yep.
no
And
kidding.
this will pass the Senate on a party line vote, and I would think Governor Kemp will sign this fairly soon.
And what needs to be written is goes into effect as of signing, not in July. Do it right
Yeah, I'm
now.
sure it will. Yeah, he probably will.
You know, I don't know, man. That we do have prosecutors that are out of control, and Dick Donovan is a very good example. He was in a improper relationship with one of his employees, but it was not sexual, but he was the tapes that Matt Lowe got that through the Freedom of Information Act. It was bad. It was real bad. But we had no mechanism to get rid of him. The only way to do it would be impeach him. You know, until he was charged, and once he was formally charged, he was removed from office, and Matthew Rollins took over as interim, and then he won an election. I don't think anybody ran against Rollo. Rollins is super good guy, even for being a Marine, super good guy. But it's such a what we were stuck with Dick Donovan, and we there was no mechanism to get rid of him outside of holding an impeachment, and which would have meant calling a special session. And it was 2020. Nobody wanted to be in a room with each other, so nothing happened. So he hung around for the 2 years till he was charged, and that's when he stepped away and resigned. Once he got his retirement, he resigned.
Yep.
All right, brother, you got the mule.
The mule this week is the city of San Francisco. I don't know if you saw the story, but they launched a pilot program in October of last year that pays people $300 a month not to commit gun crimes.
Well, it's a little disingenuous the way it's written. What they're doing is they're hiring ambassadors.
They're hiring community ambassadors, right?
And
exactly.
right now, the pilot program should be 10 people, which is $3,000 a month. And in a city the size of San Francisco, $3,000 a month is they spend more than that going out to lunch.
It's just funny. They're going to go out to the community and find supposedly people that want to change their life, and then they're going to pay them to be ambassador. I mean, I don't think the role of government is to pay people to be community ambassadors, but it is. I mean, their whole thought behind this is to reduce gun violence. So they're going to take people that would otherwise be potential gun criminals. We're going to pay you not to use the guns and to be an ambassador in the city.
Where's my money? Because I haven't shot anybody.
I haven't either. I want $300 a month for this.
I mean, yeah, we're recording again. It's now been 7 days since we recorded, and once again, I went a whole week without killing anybody. And sometimes, trust me, sometimes it's a struggle.
Yes, definitely is.
Especially when I got back down to the way Google sent me to Asheville was 75, 285, 85. So when I hit 285 coming home, trust me, I was ready to kill somebody. So we have the ding ding machines, campaign contributions from the slot machine owners.
Yeah, I just thought this would be a really good story that illustrates how campaign contributions from certain organizations then directly lead to legislation being introduced by members of the Georgia House. And there couldn't be a better story than this.
Normally, the way that's done is you take the campaign contributions and you get somebody else to carry the bill.
Yes, it's not done. I mean, but in this, okay, so the background on the story, let's go back a little bit. So back in 2013, Governor Nathan Deal signed into law basically a coin-operated amusement machine law, which allowed for the operation of these gambling machines to really become official in gas stations or the VFW or the Moose Lodge or different parts from wherever Georgia. And when that law went into place, and most people don't know this, the Georgia Lottery Commission is responsible for regulation of those gambling machines, and they take a 10% cut of the gambling machine revenue. So before that, before 2013, these gambling machines popped up in stores. They were really illegal. It was kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod type thing. The gambling machine owners start giving contributions, right? So they're maxing out contributions to the governor, lieutenant governor, and representatives all over state. They get them to pass this law in 2013, which makes them more legitimate. Well, fast forward, they continue contributing. I mean, when I say contributing, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to politicians in Georgia. And this year,
running a home poker game is technically illegal.
It is illegal, totally illegal.
No one's kicking. GBI is not going to kick my door in if I have some friends over and play poker.
Yep,
I understand that, but it's technically illegal. I can't bet on the Super Bowl legally in Georgia.
Oh no, you can't. Because you're not the state. So what the deal is now is if you go into a gas station with a machine, you win money, they can give you a credit to spend in store. That's the current law. So if I win $100, I can get a $100 credit to spend in store. But lo and behold, they've introduced a bill this session to allow you now to get a prepaid card. So if I win $100 now, they'll be able to load a prepaid card that then I can take off premise and play in other locations. So what this does is just continues to legitimize those gambling machines in these gas stations. And this bill will then entice more and more people to play because they know now if they win, now I can go to my local Kroger or Ingles or Kmart or wherever else and spend this money. So this just does nothing but pads the pocket of these owners of the gas on these slot machines now. And it's a direct, you can just look at the campaign donations. You can track them to the people that are writing the bills, and you can track the thousands of dollars they took. And in turn, you can turn around and say they introduced legislation to benefit the people directly that gave them money.
Now, I've been
truly amazing.
Plenty of gas stations and convenience stores. Some don't even have gas pumps. Convenience stores where they have ding-ding machines. When have you ever looked at the people playing those stupid machines?
And thought
these people have disposable income to do this.
Yeah, and look, these are numbers from 2019. In 2019, $3 billion went through those machines. 2.1 billion was redeemed. So they have a 70% payout. Vegas has like a 95% payout on slot machines. So these in Georgia pay. So they took $900 million out of the hands of people playing them. And then the Lottery Commission, who oversees them, got their cut of it. So they collected $9.3 million. So $900 million was taken out. So that's how much money these people that own these slot machines are making every year in Georgia. And then in turn, they're taking that $900 million and funneling it right back into political representative pockets. I mean, it's just that it's the biggest, I'm not sure there's another industry in Georgia that operates this way where a gambling machine owner pays the local politician and they introduce legislation to benefit their business.
Quid pro quo. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, and you can track it. I mean, look, a lot of them live around me. You can track, they contributed, and it's not just representatives, it's senators, it's the governor. I mean, they're stroking $7,000, $8,000 checks to the governor every single time he's up for re-election.
Look, I don't care about gambling. I just don't care one way or the other. If you're over 18, if you're a grown ass adult, do what you want. But I have, like you said, when you talk about 95% payout in Vegas, it doesn't mean 95% of the money they take in, they pay out. What it means is 95% of the time, it's going to be some sort of winner. So you could be playing, say, $20 and win 15 back. That's considered part of that 95% because it paid something back. So when you reduce that to 70, I mean, I think Giles said it best, the original host of the show, is that the lottery is a tax on people who can't do math.
I know. And look, these people on these, we talked about it earlier, they're totally against casino gambling, which is kind of the hypocrisy here that the people that introduce this legislation will vote against casino gambling bills, but then make it easier for people to go into the local gas station and play the lottery or play the casino or the Class B machines. So you're opposed to the casinos coming to Georgia, but you're not opposed to the local people walking into a gas station losing all their money on the gambling machines. I mean,
I've seen
so hypocritical. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen places where they have saloon doors to go back into the ding ding machines.
Oh, 100%.
Where they can go back there and they even though it's against Georgia Clean Air Act, they can sit there and smoke cigarettes and whatever they win, they can go grab a beer and pay for it, and then go sit in there and play the ding ding machines. Look, I don't play slots. Even when I gamble, I don't play slots. I think Matt Lowe had a great quote, and it may come from his father, is I'm not going to play anything that backs itself up to the wall and takes all comers.
That's a good way of saying it. Yeah, I've never played one of those machines. And this is a thing. This is different with the casinos too. Like if a casino came to Georgia, I would probably go to the casino every once in a while, but I'll never step foot in a local gas station and pump money into the machines. So you are catering towards different people with the slot machines in a gas station versus a casino if it opened up in downtown Atlanta. It's different people you're catering towards.
And look, I have never seen a clean-looking professional person who looks like they can afford to lose money playing those machines. I'm sure they're out there, and maybe that's more a comment on me of where I stopped to pick up my Gatorade. But it always appears to me these are people in the trades, and look, I'm in a trade too, but painters and stuff like that, though, that will take their, if you go in on Friday, you're going to see every machine full because they cash their paychecks and then go play the ding ding machines, and those things are stupid.
And it's taking money away from their families back at home, and then
it's taking money from the lower class and using it to send middle class and upper middle class kids to school.
100%. I mean, you couldn't be more right. And what we're doing in Georgia right now is making it easier and making it more attractive to do that.
Hey, look, I'm a guy who'll go to Vegas. I'm a guy who'll go to Biloxi and go and play, 3-card poker, or if I'm actually there for a few days, I'll play a couple of no limit hold'em tournaments and stuff because I enjoy poker. I'm a guy who, in fact, I'm waiting on an email from a friend of mine that runs a squares game on the Super Bowl, and I'll buy a couple squares from him and all that stuff. I have no problem with gambling. It doesn't bother me. I know some people are really, really opposed to games of chance. First of all, poker is not a game of chance, but really, really opposed to it for religious reasons, whatever. That's fine. But you can't say I'm opposed to it for religious reasons and then support the lottery.
Yep, I agree.
Because people like me, people like you've been to Vegas much more recently than I have. You go, you have a budget. If you go and lose a couple $1,000s in Vegas being there, your kids are still going to eat.
Barely.
Yeah.
With grocery prices nowadays, barely.
Yeah, it is like playing a slot machine every time you go to the grocery store. Like, oh God, how high is this bill going to be? But the people who can afford it are not the ones playing the lottery. If you're a gambler, you go to Vegas, Biloxi, Atlantic City, even Cherokee, North Carolina, and you go somewhere, and it's an event for you to go somewhere and gamble. And what I call is paid entertainment. I don't expect to win. And
that's true.
The secret is it's called losing slowly. That's what they want you to do? Is they want you to sit there. They want to win, but if they beat you up in 5 minutes and take all your money, you're just going to leave and not come back. They want you to lose slowly. And the worst thing I ever did is I took my wife when we were first dating. Our first trip together, like out of town, was to Biloxi, and we won, and we won pretty well. And she thought that was gambling. Like, yeah, you show up and they give you money. No, baby, that's not how it works. This was an anomaly. Sort of like a drug dealer giving you your first hit for free.
Yep.
All right, Kenny, what do you got for closing thoughts?
Well, we forgot to mention this earlier, but I wanted to make sure we mentioned that the chairman of the Rules Committee in Georgia passed away this week. His name was Richard Smith. He was down from Georgia District 139, down around Columbus, Harris County area. Richard Smith had been serving in Georgia since 2005, and he just came up with the flu and had complications, I guess, from the flu. So very unexpected.
Yeah, he was 71?
82.
Like that?
Yeah,
82.
Yep.
You just don't think don't think about the flu killing somebody.
I know, but that happened in the House last week. You know, the Rules Committee is probably one of the most powerful committee or chairmanships to have up there. I think he was well revered in the House. He was good friends with Governor Kemp. Nobody really had anything negative to say about Chairman Smith. So that was a big shock.
And I think that Kemp showed a lot of class because he came to the House.
Yeah, he totally did.
He showed a lot of class doing that. They covered his desk with a black shroud. But I think that Kemp showed a lot of class. Coming to the Capitol from his mansion. Well, not his, our mansion. And the things that he said, he said sometimes we agreed, sometimes we didn't, but you always knew where you stood.
Yep.
And you can't give somebody a higher compliment than that. Is he stood on his principles, and if it happened to align with what Kemp wanted to do, great. If it didn't, he would tell you to your face, no, I don't agree with this. This is why.
Right.
And I think that is a testament to somebody who stands on principle. This is the way I'm voting. This is what I believe. I know you believe differently, but this is my vote on it. And I think that's a very good testament to him.
Yep. So we'll have to see. Who gets the chairmanship of the Rules Committee next. That's like I said, a very powerful position.
And I don't know what they're going to do to look. The session will be over before they could fill the seat.
Yeah, they'll have just a normal election in May.
Yeah, it's going to be the Wild West in Columbus.
I don't know what the law is on that. I mean, there's a very specific law which says what you have to do within a certain time period from the next primary election, but I haven't looked into that.
But it would be pointless because it's unlike Congress. They'll gavel out in March.
Yeah, I know, but the people need to be represented by someone. So that's the challenge. Is they'll have to do something so the people of District 139 have a representative before next January. If
it were Congress, the governor would appoint somebody. I don't know.
I'm not sure what's going to happen here. We'll have to figure it out.
And look, we're only a month and a half away from CNADA. Unless there's a special session, I mean, even if somebody.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Is the people, like the constituents of that district, need representation to help with Georgia issues. So whether or not they're in session or not doesn't really matter. The people in that district need a representative to help them with other stuff, and that's why they'll.
That's true.
Yeah, that's why they'll appoint someone or have a special election for this.
Oh God, that'll be a mess. That will be a mess down there because you're going to have a ballot that says special.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
Below that, who are you voting for this district?
Yep.
Well, I left most of it on the field. I want to encourage anybody who enjoys what they hear to like and share us, inflict us on your friends. If you don't like what you hear, inflict us on your enemies. And I certainly appreciate everybody listening. Ken, again, I appreciate you being the partner on this. Big thanks to Eric, who's gonna try to edit the fact that I smacked the mic because I talk with my hands like an idiot. Like you could see me, I'm talking with my hands. So hopefully it won't be too bad of a mic smack that I had. Other than that, we will talk to everybody next week.
Catch me howling at the moon.